One of the organisations that's trying to broker a resolution to the conflict in Libya is the Arab League. Just a short time ago, I was joined from Cairo by the chef de cabinet of the Arab League, Hesham Youssef. Hesham Youssef, many thanks for taking the time to talk to Lateline tonight.
It's my pleasure.
The Arab League has called for an immediate halt to the violence in Libya. You've said the government must respond to the demands of its people. It's a rare criticism from the League of one of its own. From the Arab League's point of view, what now is the ideal outcome?
Well, the ideal outcome is for those who are in control in Libya to listen to the voice of the people and to respond positively and immediately to the demands of the people.
And does that mean that the 22 members of the League are united in wanting to see Colonel Gaddafi go?
Well, they want to see peace and stability restored in Libya, and they want to see the demands of these people implemented. And they want also to see the bloodshed ending. And this is what we have been trying to do for the last, since this whole sad episode started, whether in our efforts here in the League or the efforts in the Security Council, the General Assembly or the Council on Human Rights. So there are a lot of efforts that are ongoing in order for this sad episode to end.
And for this episode to end, though, does it mean Colonel Gaddafi must leave, and are all members of the Arab League prepared to see him go?
Well, the League was ready to see the leaders in Tunisia and Egypt go. Regardless of the different circumstances surrounding the situation in different countries, if this is the demand of the people, then it has to be respected.
You talk there about the number of efforts being made, but at the same time, the Arab League has rejected foreign interference in Libya. What does that mean?
Well, the reason for rejecting foreign intervention is because the people in Libya want to take matters into their own hand. And we feel that there might be a backlash if there is foreign intervention. And this might be used as an excuse to indicate that these who are revolting, who are opposing, are being supported from outside, and that this is not a genuine demonstration of demands that are coming from within Libya. So I think it is unanimous in the views of the Arab countries that the situation should not be altered by foreign intervention. Having said that, there are all kinds of efforts and ideas to address this situation in the context of the Security Council. And the Security Council has already taken a decision in this regard, taking a number of measures against those who are in control in Libya, and there are additional steps that are being considered and consulted on at this point in time.
Would a no-fly zone amount to foreign interference?
Well, it depends on how it is done, because there are different ways to do that. We have been informed that one of these ways is to have a military attack on the civilian defense systems, and this is something that would be difficult to accept. But there are other ways that are also possible, including jamming electronically jamming these devices. Then that would be a more plausible way to deal with these matters if we reach a situation that requires this to be implemented. However, at this point in time, we have to indicate that consultations are ongoing in the Security Council with a number of members of the Security Council, as well as between the Arab League and the African Union. And if the situation continues to deteriorate, as we see all kinds of difficulties in different parts of Libya, then probably this effort will have to intensify.
You talk there about an attack on Libya. Are you referring to Robert Gates, the US Defence Secretary, his comment that a no-fly zone would have to start with an attack on Libyan air defences? Is that what you reject? Is that what the Arab League rejects?
Yes, we do not believe that a foreign military act against Libya at this point in time is the right thing to do.
So at what point can you see efforts having to intensify and some sort of no-fly zone being put in place?
No, the efforts are already ongoing. The question is a question of how it can be done and when it can be done. So, and we believe that any measures of that nature have to be taken in the context of the Security Council and not unilaterally or through any other mechanisms. And this is something that we insist on at this point in time.
How could it be done without, as Robert Gates says, initially destroying the air defences?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it was also mentioned that it is possible to electronically jam defense systems. So this is also another alternative that has been indicated to us. But this will have to be considered by military people who understand how this can be achieved and how this can be done in a manner that would not affect the interests of those who are protesting and the Libyan people in general.
What about helping the rebels directly, supplying weapons, for example?
Well, this is something that we have not been considering, and they have not contacted us as well. And it seems that they also, because part of those who have been opposing the regime have been in the army. So there are parts of the army that have left the army and joined the opposition and joined those who are demonstrating against the regime. So the picture is really unclear, but we haven't been contacted by them, neither those who are demonstrating or those who have fled the army in Libya to ask for specific assistance, except in their needs regarding medical assistance and, to a certain extent, food aid.
You do say you've not been contacted regarding the supply of weapons, but what about the recognition of the rebels? The Libyan opposition in Benghazi has established a so-called National Transitional Council. Would the Arab League consider recognising that council as the legitimate authority in Libya?
Well, we have to be contacted and we have to consult with them to see who they are, what they represent, what their objectives are, and based on what they tell us and the consultations that we will have with Arab countries, then we can decide on how to deal with this group. But until this happens, it would be very difficult for us to say how we are going to deal with this issue.
In the last 24 hours, we've seen troops loyal to Colonel Gaddafi launch major assaults on 3 towns held by the opposition, and certainly the regime seems to be recovering itself around Tripoli. Do you believe Libya is headed for a protracted civil war? Could it become another Somalia?
Well, we hope not. We know that this has taken much longer than we hoped, and there is much more bloodshed than the Libyan people should have suffered. And we are hoping that this would end. We wanted it to end, yesterday, not even today. But at the same time, we recognize that it is difficult, and they are being those who are opposing are facing very difficult attacks by heavy artillery, heavy weaponry from the regime, and this indicates that unfortunately it will take some more time.
How much time do you think?
I really can't assess at this point in time, but our hope is that this would end soon, because the price is extremely high in lives of innocent people from Libya.
What's the status of the plan put forward by the Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez for a negotiated solution to the crisis? Is that still under consideration?
We have received this proposal from Venezuela, and we have consulted with them, and they are still working on their ideas and suggestions with a number of countries in Europe, in the Arab world, even in Latin America. But from the reactions that we saw in Libya, because those who are in opposition have indicated that they would that they do not feel comfortable with what they heard about the ideas coming from Venezuela, and also those who are in control from the current regime in Libya have indicated that they are not waiting for someone to come from too far away who doesn't understand the situation in Libya to tell them what is supposed to be done. So I have to indicate that it seems that it is facing difficulties from both some forces in the regime as well as forces in the opposition. So it remains to be seen how this proposal or suggestion or initiative would proceed, but consultations are still ongoing to see how this would evolve.
Can you imagine Colonel Gaddafi will ever give up power and leave his country voluntarily?
Well, did you imagine that this would happen in other places in the Arab world, particularly in Tunisia and in Egypt? We are living in a different world. In the last few weeks, the world has, in this part of the world, has changed beyond recognition. So we have to indicate that anything is possible. And, for those who are in authority, if they care about the blood of their people, I think they have to do the responsible thing.
Hesham Youssef, is this a real test of the Arab League's relevance and authority?
Well, the Arab League is a reflection of its member states. Is this a test to the region? Of course it is a test to the region. Is it a test to the Arab League? Of course, because this is the embodiment of collective Arab will. How the Arab League is going to deal with changes in this part of the world will affect the future of this organization. However, I have also to indicate that the decisions and the positions that have been adopted by the Arab League in relation to the situation in Tunisia, to the situation in Egypt, to the situation in Libya, are positions that are unprecedented, because the Arab League has been siding with the demands of the people. Whether this was the case in Tunisia, the case in Egypt, or now in Libya, and perhaps also as things evolve in other places as well. So this is these are all signs of changing situations and changing times.
At the same time, Ambassador Mohammed Murad, who was named by Libya to the UN headquarters but refused to represent the regime, he's criticised the League for a lack of action, saying, as usual, the Arab League's decisions are weak and late.
Well, perhaps this time I will somewhat differ, because as a result of the decision of the League early on to condemn all these actions, to demand the end of violence, and to suspend the participation of Libya in the Arab League, paving the way for a Security Council resolution and the General Assembly resolution, and the suspension of the participation in Libya in the Human Rights Council, and trying to provide humanitarian and other kinds of assistance. I think, we have done a lot of effort. Perhaps it is not enough, because I think we will all have to agree that nothing is enough until the bloodshed stops. And in this, I would agree with my Libyan colleague. But we also have to indicate that there are limits as to what can be done, not only by the Arab League, but also by the international community. So as sad as this may seem, there are limits to what we are capable of doing.
Hesham Youssef, many thanks for being so generous with your time and your insights tonight.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.